Donald Trump's friends at the Fox propaganda outlet have not been that nice to him. No, they have not been so kind to Donald Trump in the past couple of weeks, and he's taken note. He has attacked Fox on Truth Social, called them the enemy, accused them of bringing the enemy on. Because as Kamala Harris soars in the polls and brings in historic fundraising hauls, although Fox does not really report the truth ever, it's not really even news, but they kind of do have to bring up the success that Kamala Harris is having. It is so historic that they can't even shy away from it. And that has infuriated Donald Trump so much. And it's not just that. One specific Fox host, Tomi Lahren, who has gone almost as far as to tell Donald Trump to shut up live on air, begging and pleading with him to close his mouth for once in his life, has triggered Donald Trump again with just a devastating takedown of him, a complete call out live on air. She snapped. She had had enough of Donald Trump and completely called him out. But we're going to check that out in just a second. But before we do, I wanted to get to some of that factual reporting. It's crazy to think that there is any factual reporting on Fox News, but there was a little bit about how well Kamala Harris is doing that it really triggered Trump. So before we get to Tomi Lahren absolutely snapping on Trump, let's check this out.
She has to answer questions. I also think Donald Trump should debate her on a debate stage. He's waffling on that. He should get on that debate stage and debate her.
Sooner rather than later.
Sooner rather than later. So I will say Kamala has reset the entire race. Look at the polls. She is back where any typical sort of Democrat would be. Democrats knew we were going to lose with Joe Biden, and she has coalesced the party, and she has brought in enthusiasm. And the last thing I'll say, Dukakis wasn't running against Donald Trump. And Kamala, for all of her past questions with her presidential campaign, she's running as a happy warrior. She's out there making the case for a positive view of America. You might disagree with it, but she's out there with enthusiasm. And Trump is out there with a lot of anger, divisiveness, bitterness. Those two comparisons, the American people are going to pick hope every single time.
So strange to see a Fox host actually kind of telling the truth, talking about the success of the Kamala Harris campaign, talking about the enthusiasm behind this positive movement that Kamala Harris is ushering in, bringing joy to the act of governing, something we obviously haven't seen from Donald Trump or the MAGA majority in the House, this Congress that is completely dysfunctional because of MAGA. But Kamala Harris is bringing a different approach to this, and people are excited about it. And it's not just that people are excited about Kamala Harris, but they're moving away from Donald Trump. We've talked about this. Donald Trump is putting off voters at a rate we haven't seen before, so much so that in recent polling, 5 to 10% of Republicans are moving over to Kamala Harris. And this is what made Fox host Tomi Lahren absolutely snap. All the ridiculous and disgusting things that Donald Trump has said lately just set her off, and she told him to stop. Let's check it out.
Well, but the biggest thing that the Trump campaign can do is stop talking about what her race is. Stop talking about if she's Indian or black. Nobody cares if she's Indian, black, or a space Martian. Talk about her radical agenda. Do not get off course on that messaging, because that messaging will work, and the Trump campaign can bend the ears of the American people and reinforce it. He just has to stay on that path.
Before we get to the call out of Donald Trump, I first want to acknowledge the lies that are inherent in everything that's said on Fox. Tomi Lahren calling Kamala Harris extreme for wanting to invest in infrastructure, battle climate change, lower prescription drug costs, lower the cost of childcare, that's extreme. To think those policies are too far left, that's extreme of Tomi Lahren. It is Donald Trump with the extreme policies, who wants to strip women of their fundamental reproductive rights and strip civil liberties away from tens of millions of Americans. That is extreme. Cutting Social Security and Medicare, that is extreme. So I wanted to say that first, but it's so funny to me that even Fox News, who has been attacking people for their identity since its inception, is telling Donald Trump, stop attacking Kamala Harris's identity. It's so funny to me that even they can acknowledge what he is doing is putting off voters. And like I said, this isn't the only time Tomi Lahren has ever done this. And I want to show that other clip where she almost goes as far as to tell Donald Trump to shut up, because it's just so hilarious to me. She just snaps, and we're going to check it out.
Now they've got about 100 days of a honeymoon period that might very well last 50 to 60 days where people are still going to be just excited that they have Kamala Harris. They're not going to dig into her record. They're not going to be bothered by her record because they're going to be so excited for probably the next 50 days. Well, we've only got about 100 until a general election and even fewer to early voting.
Yeah.
So don't get too comfortable on the Trump side. And I'm sure we're going to talk about this later, but the attacks on her personally, on whatever her past personally may have been, or calling her a childless lady, none of those are going to work, and they're going to make women second guess their support for what they may have felt for Donald Trump. Bad move. Woo.
Well, Tomi Lahren is furious with Donald Trump. Other Fox hosts are furious with him for a different reason. They're furious at how poorly he is doing. And Laura Ingraham is a perfect example of that. Someone who is so upset with Donald Trump's complete campaign collapse that she is attacking Kamala Harris for the most ridiculous reasons. And this one will just make you laugh.
As the hugger-in-chief.
Hugs? Really, Fox? This is the policy that we're setting? This is the new MAGA movement? We're going after hugs? What's next? Ice cream? MAGA has made it their chore to make sure they attack everything that Americans like. They went after Bud Light. They went after Taylor Swift. They went after the NFL. I really don't know what's next. It probably is puppies and ice cream that MAGA is going to try to ban and attack. And it's so funny to me that Laura Ingraham is attacking hugs and then turning around and defending a person whose personality, I'd say, is the opposite of a hug. And that is J.D. Vance, someone who is just the opposite of warm, cold, attacking, someone you just wouldn't want to be around. But she was defending J.D. Vance for defending Donald Trump and his comments that Kamala Harris turned black. And we just have to watch this clip and then I'll respond.
Now, this, by the way, is why you have a vice president who can actually speak.
I want to ask you about the former president's comments yesterday to the National Association of Black Journalists, where he said that Vice President Harris is, quote, all of a sudden black. As a father of 3 biracial children, did those comments give you pause at all?
They don't give me pause at all. Look, all he said is that Kamala Harris is a chameleon. She goes to Georgia 2 days ago. She was raised in Canada. She puts on a fake Southern accent. It's totally reasonable to call out the fact that she pretends to be somebody different depending on the audience she's talking to.
Chameleon.
So Laura Ingraham is hyping up J.D. Vance there, saying that he can speak and he's a vice presidential candidate who can speak, but Kamala Harris can't put a sentence together. First of all, that's incredibly ridiculous. I don't know what example MAGA is trying to point to that Kamala Harris isn't a great communicator, that she is not an excellent messenger for her policy, but that's besides the point. What really matters here is J.D. Vance being able to put together sentences good? Has any string of words that he has ever put together benefited him in any way? I think it would probably be better for J.D. Vance if he could not speak. Then he couldn't get himself into as much trouble as he has. And it would actually be kind of nice if we never had to hear from J.D. Vance again. And if you agree and you want to defeat J.D. Vance and Donald Trump so we don't ever have to hear from them again, make sure that you become a part of this movement by hitting that subscribe button. It would really mean the world to me if you join this incredible community that we are building. And if you like these videos and if you like this channel, as always, make sure to hit that like button, the thumbs up. It goes a long way in supporting what we're doing. And speaking of support, if you want to support this channel a little bit extra, you can hit the join button, become a member, and support this channel every month. And you'll get exclusive episodes, bonus content, all this stuff that we're doing on this channel. And the support goes a long way. It would mean the world to me. And until next time, I'll see you soon.